everyone, welcome to the live stream on Sundays, and we're gonna do comics. Um, we're gonna talk a little bit. I don't know how soon this started, the live, but this is the previous comic page. You saw me work on it a little. Now we're gonna do this very brief thing, drawing. And I was just fixing her because, the main thing I love about digital thing is to rotate the image. But yeah, today let's talk about comic plans. Because I used to love making so many. I feel like I was one of those people that definitely planned more than did sometimes. Just because planning is so much fun as well. So now that I really want to finish this comic, I have less plans. But that also means I don't know fully what I'm gonna do. But I'm focusing on the most important thing this time, which is just making the comic. I'm not sure about when to publish it, and I wanted to talk about this. So when I share the writing with my writers club, and even, let's say, a person I paid to do the developmental edit, which if you don't know, that helps you correct the story. Most people like the beginning a lot. I had no complaints. It's after the beginning that some very minor issues start to arise that I need to fix, of course. But the beginning, people like that, which is great because that's how you hook viewers, readers. So I have been thinking, because I'm doing this comic so slowly right now, where I'm doing, like, if I'm lucky, a page every 2 weeks, but then there's indeed pauses that I allow myself because it's now a hobby and I take care of my mental health and to be able to rest. There's lots of pauses. So I've been thinking, should I publish this comic until it's completely done? So that could be in a very, very long time. And that could help not make promises to people that I cannot keep. Like, hey, I'm going to publish every 2 weeks, and then a month has passed. And I have done that a lot in the past. And I feel like that motivates me and derails me way more. Because I feel like this extra guilt. So yeah, honestly, plan A for now, it's becoming like, wait till you have almost everything ready. And it feels cool to think of, I'm gonna have lots of material ready for people. Not gonna make them wait anymore. Ever again. Hello, Akiso. How are you? How's your project going? Oh god, I have many windows open. Let me close here. You cannot see them because of OBS, the program I'm using for streaming. So I plan to gather the beginning pages, which I'm finishing right now, in a PDF, and then use that PDF to like a visual guide, let's say, when I share my writing to the Writers Club. My prose is not the best, maybe, because I'm writing it like a script, which makes sense, right? It's a comic. It's a visual thing instead of a novel or a short story. So it helps people, I guess, know a little of the plan. But I'm also thinking if I should give that PDF maybe for $1 in Patreon. But I don't know. I don't think I have enough pages yet I'll wait a little for that. Because also I don't want people to be waiting for something so long. I myself, when I read comics, I prefer when they're done. And I do read some that are not finished, because obviously. But I like reading in chunks. I don't adore. Like, I usually read 2 chapters every time, at least. If it's short. And if it's long, then yeah, 1 chapter is okay, like for manga. So I don't want people to have an unsatisfying reading experience, I guess. How do you read comics, I wonder? I mean, I used to, at some point, read many comics. Indeed. At the same time, which, I mean, technically I still do, but you know, the chapter by chapter weekly release. But I ended up reading so many while I was waiting for the others to become available that, I don't know, I started to become even overwhelmed. Like, I needed to even limit the amount of comics I read, because I also read books and other things. So I don't know, it started to be too much for me to handle. So I wonder, how do you read? Or do you have better attention span? I remember there was this person in the Theory and Trope fandom, a comic in Webtoon. He told me that it sounded like I had the attention span of a sparrow. Which I think it's super, it's not accurate. It was more like I get overwhelmed if I have too many things on my plate. That goes even for hobbies or reading. Like, even now, I feel like I'm progressing way better with the comic now that I'm focusing on just one thing. There's less pressure, less. I'm enjoying it a lot. I don't know. Yesterday, I was curious what had happened to Ergo Josh after he made a video about AI. And even if I don't fully agree with him, I think he behaved very nicely after being cancelled. I mean, besides the fact that to be cancelled like that, like to have like a witch hunt of sorts, must feel awful. He didn't take down the videos that were controversial or anything, and he stood by his way of thinking a little. And I thought he addressed it quite respectfully, at least in the video. It makes me think of how AI will evolve. Because my boyfriend once asked me, and I thought it was a very good question, if AI had made the way it had been made, if it was ethical, would you use it? And besides the way of thinking right now, I'm just gonna say the way I actually behave. Most of the time, even with tools like 3D assets, like I did the cabin for Winter Secrets in 3D in The Sims, and that was very cool. But that was the first time I ever did that, and I almost never use 3D assets or anything extra, just because I feel like I'm gonna be okay. This is the way I have been feeling, and I'm not saying I'm right at all or that this is advisable. I'm probably slower because of this, maybe. But I prefer to just draw everything myself most of the time. Like, I love digital tools like Clip Studio, little perspective grids and stuff. But even for things that other people use, like 3D horses or what other things people use? Oh, poses from a mannequin in 3D. I find the time it would take me to set the mannequin, sorry. I feel like that's time I could be drawing, and I start to feel stressed. So I end up just enjoying doing everything myself. Horses, I feel like I know how to draw very well precisely because of that, because I have done so many. And if they're not perfect, that's fine. Now, I'm not doing a series that needs to be super rushed. Like, I don't have specific deadlines anymore, thank goodness. So, of course, the circumstances in which I'm making the comic are different from many people that use these 3D assets. They're definitely hurrying up. They're doing maybe castles, palaces, and is it said palaces? Who knows? Whatever. You'll correct me in the comments. So I'm not saying it's bad to use them at all. Maybe I'm being even silly by not using them, but I just prefer to draw everything. Just using little simple shapes like circles and squares. It's very freeing. As you can see, I sometimes have the things in different layers, but I like to merge them at some point. And maybe I should care about having the best line art possible. And maybe I'll do that for my rendered pieces, but I don't know, just a choice in the way I make comics. Akisa says, oof, my projects are dragging. Work is really, literally doing everything it can to get in the way. Yeah. Time or energy, especially the energy, right? Even when I get up early, it's hard. Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's so hard. Right now, well, first of all, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, I hope that you find a way that's easy. Because, I mean, work is a hassle. Like, each person has such different job and so different stage of life or energy. I had no energy to do comics last year, or the endings of last year. I tried and failed many times. I just needed to rest. If you have ever watched Studio Ghibli's Kiki, when the little witch gets burned out, and her artist friend's advice is literally, do not try, just relax. And when, like, you can relax and then become a little scared that you're not gonna come back. And then the guilt doesn't help in the recovery journey. But I think it's a combination of, yes, just relaxing, just doing nothing for a while. And then when I managed to come back to drawing personally, it was setting very, very, very small goals, attainable. Like, even this live stream, it's half an hour. It's the most minimal amount of time I can do. And then after I do this only half an hour, which is the only requirement really, if I end up choosing to continue drawing, which ends up happening, that's cool. But I don't have to do it. At least this was the thing I had to do because of my burnout, and because this is a hobby which I love, and I'm never gonna stop doing it. I'm never gonna give up, because no matter what happens externally, internally, this comic will be finished, and I love doing it. But for example, today I'm going to have lunch with my dad after this, and there's a part of me that's like, oh, I wanted to continue drawing. But I don't beat myself up for not continuing. It's like, okay, it's his birthday soon, so let's honor the people we love. I'm gonna have a good time. It's fine. But if it wasn't his birthday, I wouldn't spend another day, because I already spent another day with him this week, I think, or very recently. Yeah. Maybe one day I'll be in another country, and when my family, such a Mexican family that wants to get together very, very often, I'll be like, I'm so sorry, there's an ocean in the middle of us. I cannot come. Bummer. If it happens, I don't know if it will, actually, but. And I only want it for a while. I want to miss them. But for now, I'm just gonna do what I need to do. I don't know if you have found that sometimes you even have the time, but your family wants your time. It's a lovely reason, of course. Something else I wanted to talk about. I didn't even put it in the title, but about target audience. So you know how there's lots of artists and, I don't know, content creators, I guess, that even recommend, like, hey, you're gonna do your comic, in this case, and share it to friends and family. They will be the first people that support you and stuff. And even though I do see the advantage of that, especially if those family members really want to, I don't care fully for that. I don't adore that advice, because I feel like your family is not your target audience. And just to set the example, maybe, I have a sister. This looks weird. And she is so good at poetry. And I don't want to read her poetry, because I don't like poetry, period. I can enjoy it. I see the merit in it. I think it's a cool thing to do. But it's not the way I would choose to spend my free time. So I prefer, regarding that advice, how do I say this? Like for me, yeah, I think I'm a good example. Maybe not as much on YouTube, but I have very little followers, right? Compared to whatever. But I think that's good. It's telling you, or it's telling me, hey, you need to improve, or hey, you haven't marketed that much or something, and it's fine. It's a reflection of some market reality. And at some point, I plan in the future, when I have more time and money, I'm gonna read the book again, or the newest version of that, on how to have 1,000 followers and stuff. And I'm gonna even put money into it, do ads and stuff. For now, I'm just focusing on foundation, and on my free time, I'm practicing again, trying to learn more art again. But I don't feel like your friends and family, like if it's not bad if you ask for their help. It's not bad at all. But personally, as someone that doesn't want to read poetry, I'm like, hey, she's not gonna ask me all the time, or unless it's super urgent, to read her poetry. I'm not gonna ask them to read my comics if they don't want to. And even my friends, there were some friends that when they knew I started live streaming, they're like, oh, I want to support you. And it's very, very sweet. And if they have me in the background, I think that's already lovely. And I do appreciate it a lot. But I wouldn't resent them if they didn't do it. Because again, they're not necessarily into comics. They're not necessarily into manga or even this comic style. And that's fine. I'm not like, hey, you cannot be my friend if you don't like my art. Maybe they don't. Honestly, it's very possible they don't. I think they consider me good. I believe them. But the same way I like many artists, but I do not adore Pollock's work. And I prefer Alphonse Mucha over, what's one popular, over Picasso, even though Picasso is very good, but still I don't fully love that style of work. Everyone is allowed to have their preferences, and that includes your friends. Like, I love my sister. I think she does a very good job with her raps, with her poetry. And I have enjoyed actually reading some of her work. But if she were to be asking me to read it all the time, honestly, I would be annoyed. Life is already too busy. And if you have lots of artists and writers friends, this becomes even truer. I'm supporting the ones I can. Obviously all of them, but putting money in or wanting to read their work in my free time, it depends. The level of friendship, how much I like their work, if they need it. Like, sometimes they don't need it. And I always clarify to my friends, hey, I'm very thankful if you want to support my art, just be aware. It's this style. Nobody has openly said to my face they don't like it, but hey, you follow some people in Instagram and they're your friends and they never, like, they clearly muted your posts or something. It's fine. They follow me because of me, not because of my art. Okay, Akiso says, believe me, I have learned to stay away from burnout as well. Yeah. I'm also one of those artists who likes to throw everything in the comic as well, rather than lean too much in assets. Yeah, it's just more fun. I think it's very smart from people that do it, especially if they want speed. And some of them do amazing things. Yeah. So another struggle Agisa has is that in your free time, I read some comics or manga, or do you make comics and manga? But sometimes you need to read comics and manga to be motivated to do comics and manga. Yeah, I get it. Especially if you have a very demanding job, which it seems like you have. I'm thinking. I have myself tried to, like, I stopped at one point reading webcomics. Like I was still reading manga, but not really webcomics, and I wanted to change that. And I haven't fully. I do technically have a goal of reading one chapter of webcomic or any type of comic a day, which is not a big ask. Still, I don't have the habit yet, so sometimes I remember when I go to the bathroom and it's in my phone. But something that has helped a lot in comic journey as well is that I have followed way more artists now in Instagram. And I have muted many people or just stopped following some people that, we're in each other's past. It's fine. We're never gonna see each other again, frankly. And I love that instead of seeing breakfast pictures, I'm kidding, just I'm seeing art. Breakfast pictures are fine, but other types of pictures that weren't really bringing value to my life. Kidding. Again, these are people that obviously when I unfollow them, I made them unfollow me too. And I'm never gonna see again in my life. Like we're basically just classmates, not even friends. And at this point, we are not going to class for like, I don't know how many years together. I don't need to know what's happening in their lives, to be honest. And they don't need to know mine either. It has been very freeing, and it's so nice to see my algorithm full of artists. I feel like that has also fueled my desire to learn again, which I feel like I stopped because of doing in the comic, because you're doing a comic which is high demanding, and you have no time to improve, or very little. Thank you so much for being here, Akiso. I wonder if you're eating while you watch this or sketching a little. What else? Oh, I was also remembering one of a very common artist thing. Tell me if that's right, if you're watching. This goes for writers too, where you want to be recognized and you want to share whatever you're creating to the world at some point. Maybe not right away. And I feel like Instagram, especially any social media that's giving you this very quick dopamine. Like when I started Instagram, I used to be getting like 200 likes each picture or something. And I remember seeing all the likes coming in. And that was very fueling at one moment. It made me draw more. I was remembering that feeling. And I feel like that's also another reason I was tempted to publish this comic before it was ready. Because you want people to know that you're creating something, I guess. But I'm sticking for now to the plan of having as much of the comics made as possible instead of making empty promises anymore. I have failed so many times. Well, I haven't fully failed because I still get back up every time, I guess. That sounded so corny, sorry. But still, the most important thing is making pages. And I feel like I lost track of that at some point, doing the marketing and stuff. Pecunia Romana Numis. Hello? I come from Mexico. Where are you from, guys? What's your city? Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I feel like I need to spend a little bit more time refining this part. Okay, I'll do a second pass of line art in some points, but well, hi from Houston. Hello, Curious Comics. Can you believe I didn't... Did I know this, or I forgot that you were from Houston? I feel like I didn't know this, but I forgot. I mean, it's very possible you told me, and I'm gonna remember. Curious is from Houston. Are you drawing, guys? Okay, so I'm trying to make these times hanging out with other creatives working on their projects as fuel rather than my socials lately. I've never been fast enough to keep up. Oh, Chicago! That's cool! City of Winds, right? I've heard. Yeah, that's cool. The same reason I started this live stream, to actually make myself work. Yeah, and I'm gonna do a second pass of this finger, so don't worry. Okay. I feel like I'm doing the sketch in the line art, which is not what I should be doing. I feel like I'm inspired by Witch Atelier. Well, everyone, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you continue with your projects after this. I'm gonna continue drawing a little and then get ready. Thank you so much. I hope to see you next Sunday. Bye.